Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. I've been out here for quite a few years now, and I've been giving messages in every poet hole I could find about the wonderfulness and the beauty of God. Now I have decided that this is the message that I consider as the last message. And it's basically when I take all of the other messages and put them together and try to cipher out the truth that rides high in everyone in clarity, I come up with this. And I call it Defeating Armageddon. Armageddon, we know that story, we've heard about it, and we might think various things about it, but usually they aren't good. But the truth of the matter is absent in the discussion, and it is where the problem lies. So in order for you to have a good understanding of what we refer to when I speak of Armageddon, I have been given this mission to share with the world. And it begins with informing or reminding you of God. I know you've heard a lot of things about God, but I want you to think for a moment. I want to try to put your mind in a perspective looking for understanding. You know what a house is like. Most of you who are probably hearing this message might right now have access to a house, or you go to a church. Whether that is a house or a church, usually they were built by a contractor for someone who wanted a house or a church that was being financed in debt. And we have these things built, and in them, in most cases, you have a door. Door for coming in, a door for going out. You got a window, and the window is not for going out, but looking out and looking in. Sometimes you got other kitchens, bathrooms, dens. You got all of these various things. And in the church, you got your prayer rooms, you got your choir rooms, you got the pastor study, you got the classrooms. You got all of these things going on, and they are there for a purpose. They were designed for the individual who it will be serving, and they determine what and how it is to be designed. And contractors take care of it. And here we are. God is no different. The creator of this earth. This creator of this earth. This earth, like a house, like a church, was built to have available everything that is required for living consumption. Whatever form, the earth was designed to produce it. Sustenance for the maintenance of life. And usually on the human level, it is food. And so God made it possible that everybody on earth could have food. The earth is here to provide it. We think about clothing. The earth is provided with the resources necessary to clothe everybody on earth. This is God. I want you to know this is God doing this, fixing his house. This house, my friends, prepared to have shelter for everybody. Everybody on earth. Food, clothing, shelter. Why? It is essential for survival. And that power that is responsible for this existence prepared for that. You might not know it, but I came to remind you, not only that power also made it possible for you to be educated. Educated in those things that others have learned and want to share it, pass it on. Save you some hard effort work with a dream that you will have so mighty. Well, this is what education is for, and if anybody needed for anything that they are given to do, education is provided, so you have no excuse. Not only that, we always say that believing and having faith will keep us healed, and we say that Jesus died, and by his stripes we're healed, but even in that, God knew that some of us would need a doctor. Prepared that health care would be provided for all living human beings on the face of the earth. God prepared for that. In this earth, all of those resources necessary to meet the needs of the billions of people on earth. It might be in the earth, seen or unseen. It might be on the earth, seen and unseen. It might be above the earth, seen and unseen, but it's there. But to extract that, to be able to grab those resources and put it together and use it for what it is to be, God had to work with us, human beings. And in each of us, he put a desired career. He stuck it in us. So this is what we want to do, whatever it is. It is given for you to do it. And in so doing, it brings you the ultimate joy, because there is no other joy greater than being who you are. And that's who you are. You were made to be that career of your choosing. And out of that, all of us being given an inward approach to dig in, to contribute in all of those things that are essential for our lives. And we are doing it so beautifully. We are doing it in such an abundance that it is enough for everybody on the face of the earth to feel just like they're in heaven, to feel like they're in paradise. This is God. This is God. I want to remind you, there's nobody out there suffering from lack, finding some reason. No, my friends, this is God. But then God put man out here to enjoy all for which I've just mentioned to you. And just like that exists, there has to be the opposite, which comes and says, oh, this is nothing. You can be so much better than that. Oh, you are better than they are. Oh, yes. And they plant that seed, and that seed grew. And it continues to grow today. And that is separating us, not only from one another, but separating us from the consciousness of God. Now, rather than understanding naturally, we talk about nature. Nature happens naturally. Now, rather than us as human beings acting naturally, we have to think about, is it on the one side or the other side? And every time we might try, we might do it okay this time and choose the wrong side next time. Constantly going nowhere because we are confused, because we allowed someone to trick us to think that we were better than our brothers, that we were better than our sisters. Split us up. We are divided. Speaking to us on each side, claiming to be our friends, and we looking for a friend, and so we go that way, not knowing that our friend is also the friend of the other. And the one in the center, that friend, is the one that's getting the power, because we are not together and we are just feeding that gangster. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, the beginning of what we see in the world today. We see someone losing power to that one up there who's tricked them, who wants to give them a new God. They want to be God themselves, but they know that you yourselves are not ready for that kind of game. So you get tricked. They call it the rich man's game. You get tricked. All of a sudden, you don't have the liberty of doing any of the things that I just got through telling you about in God's way. Now you have to get into debt. You got to get money. You got to get credit. And that was not your decision. That decision was made for you. Because you don't know. You really never knew you had power. So you just went with the flow. Somebody stood up and said, go, and you went. And when they threatened to kill you if you didn't go, you ran. So here we are. We've come to this point here today. And I want you to know I'm just talking in a subject matter that if ever I'm bringing another broadcast, it's going to be on the same subject matter. So you're not going to get what the complete picture tonight, but I want you to leave with some sense of clarity about where I'm coming from and where I'm going. And so there you are, ladies and gentlemen, caught in the midst of this. What do? Constantly thinking, what do you do? Well, without God, you do what you do. You do what you've been doing. Being led astray, caught in the breeze. Thinking, oh, you thinking that you're right? That's allowed. When the system, when the enemy knows that what you think is right is just as fake as can be fake, they allow you to do it. And you think you got it going on. And they're laughing at you. Why? Because it has no value. You can think what you want to think. It has no value. Now let me be specific. Going to church on Sundays, listening to somebody tell you a Bible story. What benefit is it really? When you leave home worried because you got those bills and you go to church and you hear somebody tell you to pray and God gonna answer those prayers. And you come back home, those bills are still there. That stress is still there. And why is it there? It's there because you're living in a world that it does not represent God's world. You're living in a world where people are being deceitful. People are being deceived. People are caught up in a hell's trap and don't even know it. And the church is not telling them that because the church doesn't know it. The church is talking biblical stuff, Bible stuff, which could mean anything to anybody. If you can't bring it home where it hurts, if you can't bring it home where it heals, if you can't bring it home where it liberates, then what is it? The people need to be free. The people need to know the truth. The people need to know power. That's what's missing in this thing. The world is being crushed down, ladies and gentlemen, but it's not the devil that's doing it. It might be a spirit of the devil, but the people, you and I, we are doing it. And all of us who say we love God, we are doing it. You think I'm lying? Right now we got running for president a Republican and a Democrat. And each one of them represent evil. You know that. Ask anybody, they'll tell you. But now you're sitting down determining which one you're going to vote for. You're thinking the lesser of the two evils. Like that is something. You got Christians on each bench ready to pull the plug on the lesser of two evils. And at the same time, you got some representing parties that are unknown. They're third world parties. But they got an agenda as well. But the truth of the matter is, it's just different than the Republicans and Democrats. In fact, it stands on the foundation of either or. And in order for it to move forward, it's going to need the truth behind it, or it's going to have the same thing you've been fighting all the time. So I want you to know that we don't have to be caught up in this trap. But in order to get out of it, we got to know the truth. Somebody has got to tell us that when you say you love God, loving God doesn't mean a thing until you start acting like you're filled with the Spirit of God. When you start acting like God lives in you, when you start acting that way, then everybody knows that God is back. Everybody knows that Jesus is back. Everybody knows that Martin Luther King is back. Everybody knows that all of those brothers and sisters who gave their lives standing up for freedom and justice is living inside of you, empowering you by the Spirit of life. And in the midst of hell where you have been allowed to grow, now you are maturing. And all of them weeds have got to go. Why? Because where you are, that junk can't stay. Why? Because that's what it's all about. It is all about being real. God is love. I want you to know that God is love. And if you're going to defeat this big old devil, you don't have the half of it right now. I only giving you a taste, a little taste, to let you know even in the bigger picture, it boils right down to this little simple part right here. But in order to reach some of those who require a big picture, I'm going to have to come back again and talk about defeating Armageddon in such a way that they can see it. But for those of you who got it today, I want you to spread the news, because this message is about getting across the whole world, not just the United States of America. I want the whole world to know God. And I want them to know God's way of life. And I want to offer to the world God's way of life instead of this bull that we live every day. That's what I want. And that's because of what is in me. And if it's in me, who made me put it there? And I'm sharing it with you because we are not getting it. And I know why we're not getting it, because we don't know about it. And God wants you to know that God loves you. And God, by your hands and by your feet and by your mouth, can change this world. We don't have to worry about Armageddon, because we are the victors. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that it's been an absolute pleasure all of these years being able to come before you and speak before you the truth that has been given to me. It mattered not whether you believe it. That was not my call. My call was to be obedient to what I'd been given to do. And I'm so glad and grateful that at this date, at this time, regardless of all the things I've been through, I've been true. And I've been true to God, and I've been true to you. Until next time, bye-bye.